Japan, the world's third-largest economy, stands as a paradox. It possesses a highly skilled workforce, technological prowess, and a history of economic dynamism. Yet for the past 3 decades it has grappled with sluggish growth, deflation, and a myriad of structural challenges. This essay delves into the multifaceted factors that have contributed to Japan's economic woes, examining the global economic slowdown, domestic structural issues, and the impact of recent developments. Despite its economic prowess, Japan faces a confluence of challenges that threaten its long-term prosperity. The global economic landscape presents significant headwinds, while domestic structural issues continue to weigh heavily on growth prospects. Understanding these challenges is crucial for charting a path towards sustainable economic growth for Japan. The following sections will explore these challenges in greater depth, providing insights into the complexities of the Japanese economy and the potential solutions for a more prosperous future. The global economic slowdown has cast a long shadow over Japan's economic prospects, creating a challenging environment for growth. As a highly export-dependent nation, Japan is particularly vulnerable to fluctuations in global demand, which can significantly impact its economic stability. The International Monetary Fund projects global growth to remain sluggish in the coming years, with major economies such as the United States and the Eurozone experiencing tepid growth, further complicating Japan's economic outlook. This slowdown in global demand has had a direct impact on Japan's export sector, which has struggled to regain its former dynamism and competitive edge. The automobile industry, a cornerstone of Japan's manufacturing might, has faced declining sales in key markets, adding to the economic strain. Furthermore, rising trade tensions, particularly between the United States and China, have disrupted global supply chains and created an atmosphere of uncertainty, further dampening Japan's export performance and economic confidence. The interconnected nature of the global economy means that Japan cannot simply decouple itself from these external headwinds, making it imperative to adapt and innovate. Addressing domestic structural issues is crucial for building resilience in the face of global economic volatility, ensuring long-term sustainable growth for Japan. In recent months, Japan has experienced a modest economic rebound, fueled in part by wage gains and a recovery from a contraction in early 2024. This has brought a sense of cautious optimism among businesses and consumers alike. However, this uptick should not be mistaken for a sustainable recovery. The underlying structural issues that have plagued the Japanese economy for decades remain largely unaddressed. These issues include an aging population, low productivity growth, and a rigid labor market. This temporary reprieve is akin to a band-aid on a deep wound. While it may provide temporary relief, it does not address the root causes of Japan's economic malaise. The government's efforts to stimulate growth through fiscal spending have been met with limited success, as the effectiveness of such measures is constrained by Japan's massive public debt. The challenge for policymakers is to use this period of relative economic stability to implement meaningful structural reforms that can unlock Japan's long-term growth potential. These reforms could include measures to increase labor market flexibility, boost innovation, and improve productivity. Failure to do so risks squandering this opportunity and condemning Japan to another cycle of stagnation. The clock is ticking, and the urgency to act has never been greater. Policymakers must seize this moment to enact changes that will secure Japan's economic future. Failure to do so risks squandering this opportunity and condemning Japan to another cycle of stagnation. Japan's public debt is a colossal challenge, exceeding 250% of its gross domestic product, the highest among developed nations. This staggering debt burden severely limits the government's ability to implement expansionary fiscal policies to stimulate growth. Furthermore, it raises concerns about the long-term sustainability of Japan's public finances. The interest payments on this debt consume a significant portion of government revenue, leaving fewer resources available for essential public services such as healthcare and education. This crowding out effect further hinders economic growth, as it limits investment in critical areas. Addressing this debt overhang is essential for creating a more sustainable fiscal position and restoring confidence in Japan's economic future. This will require a combination of fiscal discipline, structural reforms to boost economic growth, and potentially painful measures to reduce government spending. Section 5. Policy missteps, a history of ineffective measures. Japan's economic woes are partly attributable to a series of policy missteps that have failed to address the country's underlying structural issues. The Bank of Japan's prolonged experiment with ultra-low interest rates and quantitative easing has had limited success in stimulating inflation and growth. Furthermore, government efforts to boost productivity and encourage innovation have been hampered by bureaucratic hurdles and a lack of decisive action. The labor market remains rigid, hindering job creation and wage growth. A paradigm shift in policymaking is needed, one that prioritizes structural reforms over short-term stimulus measures. This requires a long-term vision, political will, and a willingness to challenge vested interests. Section 6. The demographic time bomb, an aging population and a shrinking workforce. Japan faces a demographic crisis of unprecedented proportions. Its population is rapidly aging, with a low birth rate and limited immigration. This demographic trend has profound economic implications, as it leads to a shrinking workforce, slower economic growth, and a strain on social security systems. The shrinking pool of working-age individuals places a greater burden on a smaller number of taxpayers to support a growing elderly population. This demographic imbalance threatens the sustainability of Japan's social safety net and puts downward pressure on economic growth. Addressing this demographic challenge requires a multi-pronged approach, including measures to encourage higher birth rates, promote immigration, and increase the labor force participation of women and older workers. Section 7. Deflationary spiral, a persistent economic malady. Deflation, a sustained decrease in the general price level of goods and services, has been a persistent problem in Japan for decades. This economic phenomenon has deeply affected various sectors of the Japanese economy, creating a challenging environment for growth. This deflationary environment discourages consumer spending and business investment, leading to a vicious cycle of reduced economic activity. As consumers delay purchases in anticipation of lower prices in the future, the immediate demand for goods and services drops significantly, and businesses postpone investments due to weak demand and falling profits. This results in lower production levels and higher unemployment rates. This deflationary spiral has been difficult to break, despite the Bank of Japan's efforts to stimulate inflation through aggressive monetary policy measures, including quantitative easing and negative interest rates. The underlying causes of deflation in Japan are complex and multifaceted, involving both economic and demographic factors. These include structural factors such as a declining population, low productivity growth, and an aging workforce which collectively dampen economic dynamism. Additionally, a pervasive lack of confidence in the future further exacerbates the deflationary pressures, making it harder for the economy to recover. Overcoming deflation requires a combination of demand-side and supply-side policies, carefully coordinated to address both immediate and long-term challenges. Demand-side policies such as fiscal stimulus and monetary easing can help to boost spending in the short term, providing a much-needed economic lift. However, long-term solutions require structural reforms to address supply-side issues, such as boosting productivity, promoting innovation, and increasing competition. These measures are essential for sustainable economic growth and stability. Section 8. Global fragmentation and technological shifts, new challenges for Japan. The global economic landscape is undergoing a period of significant transformation, characterized by rising protectionism, geopolitical tensions, and rapid technological advancements. These trends present both challenges and opportunities for the Japanese economy. The rise of protectionism and the fragmentation of global value chains pose a threat to Japan's export-oriented economy. Japan relies heavily on global trade, and any disruption to the global trading system could have significant negative consequences. However, technological advancements also present opportunities for Japan to enhance its competitiveness. Japan has a strong track record of innovation, and embracing new technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics, and renewable energy could help to revitalize its economy and create new industries and jobs. Section 9. Conclusion: Navigating the path to sustainable growth. Japan's economic challenges are significant and complex, but not insurmountable. Addressing these challenges requires a comprehensive and coordinated policy response that tackles both short-term cyclical weaknesses and long-term structural impediments to growth. The Japanese government must prioritize structural reforms to boost productivity, encourage innovation, and improve the business environment. This includes measures to increase labor market flexibility, promote competition, and reduce bureaucratic hurdles. Furthermore, Japan must adapt to the changing global landscape by diversifying its export markets, strengthening its technological capabilities, and fostering closer economic ties with like-minded partners. By implementing bold and decisive reforms, Japan can overcome its current economic woes and chart a path toward sustainable and inclusive growth.